Monday couldn't come any sooner. Oh, and hi guys. After taking floor plans from Miss Santos the day before the last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing out plans and calling in my suppliers. Although no design choice have been made yet, I'm quite sure that they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did, these rich types, based from experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants take the elevator up with me. It makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me, and I'm sure she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm safe from being paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. The rise lived at the very top, the penthouse, the creme de la creme, when it comes to condominium and urban living. Condominium. Oops. My mouse was like stuck. Oh, there we go. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks, just to secure a key card, not only because of building management, but because of the ride's personal security. It sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime and not visiting a client at their home. Even when their personal assistant called in to help out and verify my presence, the process is aggravated rather than hastened. Speaking of the devil, so this is the 24th. You know, it'd be kind of nice to just like check everything real quickly so that, you know, the story makes more sense. So they have the party at the penthouse has happened with Hannaford. Yeah, and then getting the email for her to work with them. Then she went to the bar and met Whiskey. The day after that. No, not the day after that, but you know. And then, right, so they have met. Becca and Isabella talked about what's going on with them, you know, and she's found the letter and everything, and, yeah. Right, she's seen a ghost and everything. And during open hours, Anna pursues. Right. Yeah, so it's like they saw the film, that's happened, and we know more about Isabella. And yeah, this just happened in the last episode. They met, which was nice. I kinda shipped them, to be honest. And she saw this spooky Isabella, which is why she was so tense when she met with Mariana later on. And Isabella has met Father Norman to bless the house. That's also happened. And what's also happened is that, yeah, right, okay, yeah, so they have blessed the house. Otherwise, just suggestion. Oh, and she has met. Okay, good to know. So Mariana has met Isabella when in the park with her cat. That's happened. And okay, good to know. So Rose has died. She died yesterday. That's good to know. I should have done something like this earlier, to be honest. So this is good to be more like in check, and I think that's good for you guys too, because I don't know, it just gets real confusing. It might be because you're recording, you have so much to focus on, so it might be easier for you to remember. I don't know. Anyway, the elevator door opens and I'm greeted by none other than Whiskey's not so little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up. but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security. And only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour.
Wow.
Define soon in this context.
That's a lot. Wow, how annoying if that's going to happen to her like every single day.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
He shows me to the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other things in preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his word implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people don't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes, or even 10. I sit in the living room, just waiting. When a kettle starts whistling and the tea has been served, I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spilled the tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking. I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I am normally not this nosy. What should I do then? Can this really be the ghost too? I want to check it out, but this is difficult because for the story purpose, I feel like checking it out is more rewarding or whatever you'd say, but I feel like continue waiting is what you're supposed to be doing. Like, it is odd that she heard it was so loud apparently that she almost spilled her tea, right? She got really shocked because it was such a loud noise, yet he doesn't react at all, so it might just have been her imagination. Maybe? I don't even know. So, yeah. I'm not sure about this. I don't know if she can, like, when I think about it, even if it is like the ghost, I mean, Zach, he saw the ghost and he's like took photographs of her, and he hasn't gotten like killed or anything like that, at least. So I don't know if this is, but this sucks. No, I'm just too cautious. I don't want them to die. I want to play for it, trying to like have them all survive. So I guess I'm going to continue waiting. And by the way, I've been thinking more about how I'm going to replay it all, and I think that once I do, because I definitely want to and check out different options to see how the story can go. And it definitely depends on what my ending is. If it doesn't turn out as good as I'm hoping, I will of course try to get a really good ending. But I'm also curious about these options. So, but I was thinking that I will probably upload way longer videos, so in case some people don't want to just kind of be spammed with just this series all the time. I could just, I don't know, maybe do like 1 or 2 parts for each person, so that there won't be that many more videos up, so they will be way longer. That might be better, you know, and it's replay too, so it would be kind of like either 7 videos or like 14. But then again, hers was really short compared to like Zach's, so yeah. But this is so, I want to check it out so badly, but that's what gets you killed in these things, or something like that. Or will get you haunted. I guess I'll continue waiting. I want to check it out. I mean, I guess some people have already played this and went for this, so if you guys really want to see it, then I guess you could just see someone else just do that option, I guess. But yeah, we'll wait. We'll continue waiting. Oof. I have no business with it. These rich people usually value their privacy above all else, after all, and this is true to her character too, so. Unless, of course, they're posting pictures on social media, bragging about what good people they are for allowing themselves to be interviewed for some magazine. Then again, the whole reason I'm in this mess is because I don't give 2 shits about what goes on with people like them. And I'm not going to get caught snooping about and be accused of some imagined wrongdoing. I'm not going to be some busybody detective wannabe and run off to investigate whatever that was. It's probably just something mundane anyway, like a lamp falling over. I'm just going to sit here and wait for Mrs. Wright. With my tea, in complete silence.
Could I at least put the telly on?
I don't really expect him to answer. If he hadn't heard it crash, I doubt he would have heard
As long as you don't watch some silly soap opera.
See, that was really shady. Okay, so I'm glad that I didn't look. Right? But then again, when you think about it, the letter says, help me, help me. So maybe are supposed to give her the attention she seeks. It's very tricky, really. But then the help me could kind of be like, give me your soul, right? We don't know, so.
The LBC News would be fine. The William Walker Show is on too, if you prefer that. Not that I watch it, but my husband does. The remote is under the coffee table.
Oh, sure. Maybe I'll be lucky and catch the doc on. I heard they're having reruns of the classics and I want to see the 2nd meet 6th in Spain. If not, just the news then. Thank you. I'll let you get on with your cooking now.
But he just ignored a crash a while ago, then? Odd. Whatever. Fencing the remote, I turned TV on in the hopes of filling the silence. Trying to anyway, because the thing won't turn on. And doesn't that make the silence more awkward or what? I know I might not be the best with tech, but I'm sure it can work a simple television remote.
The batteries must be dead.
Oh my. Help me. And she's blonde. No, wait, what? What? There's blood everywhere. Help me, it says in red. I look at my own hands and find them clean, yet I can see my grisly reflection gaping back at me. And though there's nothing staining my skin, I can feel the sticky and warm feeling of blood dripping down my cheeks. I should be worried. Instead, I feel my attention drawn towards her. Is that really the girl she liked? Oh my gosh. Her beautiful blonde hair, her soft lips with skin so fair and swaying hips. I want nothing more than to hold her, plant my lips on her neck and run my fingers through her hair. She laughs and she smiles when she looks at me, but where are her eyes? Temptation is gone in an instant and I recoil, horrified at this reflection I am seeing. That's horrible. Only to back into something, or rather someone. Did she die? Like this, like it kind of sounds like this girl or like woman, whatever, that she was in love with, that she died or something. Mrs. Wright stands there, twirling a lock of her blonde hair, a soft smile on her lips, and a hand on her hip. Yeah, see, like, and she, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, okay, that girl was wearing a school uniform, and she's always said how Mrs. Wright reminds her of her. So, because I don't think that Mrs. Wright is actually that girl. I don't know, because didn't she move? I'm pretty sure that she moved. Yeah, I mean, she did move, but like from where? Because she was found a freaking dumpster. Yeah, she was in Ireland. So, like, I don't think... Hannah, we can, like, look at this. She's always lived in, like, luxury. I don't think she lived in Ireland anyway. I don't think so. So, I mean... Yeah. That's not Hannah. Hannah was not that girl. But she reminds her of her. Mrs. Wright's answers right. Hand on her hip. I almost back away, but I ground and remind myself that this is my client. And whatever I just saw, well, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that perhaps I am going a bit daft. It would be preferable, of course, to think it was all the trick of the light or the makings of an overactive imagination.
Good morning, Mrs. Wright. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Have you been standing there long?
No, I just came down and saw you were having a hard time with the telly. We must have forgotten to change the batteries. Are you all right, dear? You're looking a bit pale. Haven't you had breakfast yet?
No, I'm fine. I had breakfast already, Mrs. Wright. I just need...
Well then, you mustn't have had enough breakfast. I'm all for a good diet, but that's the most important meal of the day. Johans is cooking up pancakes. Pancakes will make anyone feel better, he always says. We can sit down and tuck in. You'll feel right as rain once we get some fluffy, syrupy goodness in you. And are you sure you're fine, Marianne? You're shaking.
Looking down at my hands, I can see them trembling. Really? Just because she looks so much like her, I'm becoming a drawn train wreck. I've been seeing her in my dreams and hearing her voice ever since I met Mrs. Wright at the mansion. With so many blondes in the world, what was different with her? What was different this time? I'm not feeling too well. I don't know what... I mean, shaking. Would you be, like, shaking just because you remember something? I guess I'm just going to say, like, I'm not feeling too well, even though it's probably not that professional. But it doesn't really make that much sense because she's already wearing, like, you can kind of tell that she's not feeling too well, right? As always, I'm just curious about it, if it's going to drop or, you know, I'm not feeling too well. Oh, that went down. Whoops. I'm starting to go mad. I am. But there is work to be done, and the clock isn't going to stop ticking while I go about having a breakdown. Well, true. I should go to the loo, splash water on my face, and snap out of it. At least until the end of the day, if I can just last that long.
I think I just need to excuse myself for a minute, if that's all right.
She places a hand on my arm, gentle as can be.
What? No. What if you suddenly fall over or faint while you're all alone? You can just sit down right here and I'll go get you a glass of water.
Or would you like some beer? That's how you are nowadays now. Drowning everything in booze.
Ooh, what the heck? So, was that the voice of the girl she liked? This is getting kind of spooky now.
No, I don't want anything to drink. Just...
I must have said that forcefully, judging by the look on Mrs. Wright's face. But why does she care? It's not like we're friends. This is a business. I'm either well enough to conduct it or not. Why would she pretend to be concerned when I am simply a means to an end? Just seeing Mrs. Wright reminds me too much of her. And maybe I'm starting to see and hear her again when I shouldn't be. I've tried so hard to leave everything behind, to forget them and move on. But that small touch and her voice in my head have nearly set me off the edge, and in an instant all of her memories come floating back in.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to snap at you like that. Just give me some breathing room, please. Just, please, give me a moment.
She doesn't respond, and just before the situation gets any more complicated, Mr. Wright comes in.
Good morning, ladies. What a wonderful morning it is, that I wake up to such a beautiful sight. I do hope you two are getting along. I smell pancakes. I do hope you two are considering a diet just so I can have them all to myself.
Don't be a pig, Luke. You eat all of those and you might stop fitting into your tight suits.
What? I'm not a pig. You don't think I'm a pig, do you, Marianne?
With his saucy smile and playful wink, I can't help but think you're a bit of a pig, Whiskey.
I don't know, Mr. Wright. I'm an interior designer, not a zoologist.
The only sows she must be familiar with are statement of works.
Well, don't be a bore. You two might not be in a rush, but I'm going to go ahead and feast.
If you dawdle too long, he'll hog all the syrup.
Rich people are so eccentric.
Come on then, we can discuss business over food.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Ugh. Marianne visited Wright's penthouse to discuss work with a couple. While waiting for them, as she tried to turn the telly on, she got a glimpse of her horrifying past. Hannah Wright soon showed up, asking a very spooked Marianne if she was feeling well. Though it is too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Besides, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. A bowl of clotted cream, fruits, syrups, jams, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making for colorful arrangement. If this was a brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. That's a lot of pancakes. There's so... Wow. I'm jealous. I mean, I'm allergic to dairy and, you know, so like, yeah, milk, eggs, cheese, whatever. So I can't, I mean, there are alternatives. You basically buy like vegan products, but it doesn't get the right, it's not as good. It's not as good because I have eaten in the past, right? I got allergic when I was like 15, or at least I discovered that I was. So yeah, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. But as it is, I accepted just a few pieces of pancakes and topped it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it. First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with,
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
I stop. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. This isn't the time or place for it, however. Instead, I used this brief pause to pull out the floor plans I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
So, yeah, like, I was thinking about, it just looks so much smaller than it seemed like, which is so strange. I'm thinking about maybe how, like, some weird secret hallways or, like, weird rooms where they torture people. Great.
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts.
Like that room? Oh, so that's the room they were planning to have the baby. Or Hana was planning to have the baby in, I guess.
Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde, which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over.
Kylie?
Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
Oh, so Kylie and her older brother, so they are their nieces? Because I remember when they were talking about kids, we could be really, you know, when we were playing as Hana, we could be really nice and kind of comfort Luke and say that he would be a good father because he was so good playing with well, them, I suppose. Do you guys remember? Seriously, so they're related, so she's definitely going to be here more. Oh no. And she was so creepy. Like, oh no. So, okay, good. Now we know.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
Wasn't there already an office on the ground floor? With the painting? The spooky painting? Which was only a mirror?
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
What for? You can park your cars outside.
What about that room? Right there, in the northeast corner.
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Wow.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again. Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too, and I'd dance, and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano, I can't imagine it. But the earnest way in which Mrs. Wright said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage? Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theatre, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables. That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
Oh. Well, I guess. Well, let me check the relationships. I kind of want to get a bit more up with Hannah because I failed miserably just before. I guess. Yeah, okay, good. Mrs. Wright has her points, though I really didn't want to butt into this spat of a husband and wife. But with the way the two were looking at me to settle this, I might as well just keep to the facts instead of giving an opinion.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective. I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible, and it isn't going to be financially sound as well. We're already going to spend a lot on your other requests. You have several acres of land to park on already.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough costs of these things by now, love. Masters in business administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
That catches my attention more than anything. It sounds more unbelievable than Whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business administration and accounting? What university?
Lux upon you, of course. Go Lux Dragons, red and gold.
Excuse me, how about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know. We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Riding to the Ermengarde mansion in their rise isn't awkward. Fair. The mansion's arrangements were discussed over breakfast. During the meeting, the Wright couple had an argument about the mansion's arrangements. In the end, they decided a visit would settle it. Let's get spooked. Or not, because I'm just avoiding it all the time. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive letter C's, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. With the tension thick in the air, I can feel them staring at each other anytime. Staring at each other anytime. Nobody is saying anything, up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off. And for a moment, I think that he might start. But instead, he just stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. I've never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride, and I can finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze in wonder every time I see it as well. Mrs. Wright moves towards the front door, keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
All right, Johans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about. We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scout the property and circle the perimeter on foot. You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving the car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
Someday I'd like to ask how Johans can even stand and tolerate the man. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good. Even I'm a bit off by our mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least, I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday, I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Right, if only for a little while. We were able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem with the Mrs. not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seems sturdy during the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage nor wear and tear, probably refretted during renovations. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood... Such a slippery slope. Reading. A slippery slope. The wood is properly installed with the bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum though. Structural conditions from what I can see actually, are you serious? I'm just stress reading right now, I think. I just need to calm down, and just read. I can see without actually dismantling the thing look to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand. Again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead, at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there's a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone were to see them like this, there is a little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course, and I want a garden full of them. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs if anybody needs me.
I'm not really... I think I'll pass, dude. That leaves Mrs. Wright and I. But then again, I don't know if it's so good that she's getting too friendly with her either, because she just thinks about her past and just get really, So I don't know. It's tricky. This is a tricky thing. But, we'll just see what's gonna happen, I suppose.
He's quite fond of them,
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere.
Oh.
I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name.
Okay. Wow.
He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils, least of all. What's next? Am I going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings?
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
Okay, thank you. When she goes without even asking if I need her here, I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of an interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that have both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. That's true. Since I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check things off, my punch list, if you will. When it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with Whiskey. I have to look through the place eventually, sure. But on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Which floor should I go first? Which floor should I go to first? Well, I mean, we have seen so much of the ground floor, so I'm more curious about the first floor, and then again with Whiskey. That little Whiskey man. So I'm going to go for check the first floor. Hopefully, it will turn out good. I've already seen enough of this floor during the open house. Of course, I know that it's just a convenient excuse. I just don't want to be in the same room as Whiskey anytime soon. So I might as well just go upstairs first. The banisters on the grand staircase landing are solid and a proper height. Any lower and they would be trouble. There's a small catch on the carpet though. But as long as nobody tries to turn down the stairs until it gets fixed, things should be alright. And the stained glass? Art. Restored. No doubt in the image of the last lady and Lord of Ermengarde! So it is! Oh my gosh, they are so similar! This is so weird! So I was right in the first time, and then I thought, wow. What? I'm so confused right now. Why? Why are they like the same? This is so weird. The last, and so were these two the ones that lived in the house? When obviously that ghost thing, that woman, whatever, shouldn't she be like the one who committed suicide? Or maybe not, maybe I don't remember. Maybe it was like the lady of the house that committed suicide. I don't remember how its story went. Maybe, I mean, we will probably hopefully get some more information eventually. But okay, so maybe she committed suicide, and I don't know, I feel like there must be some weird torture like chamber something in this place, because look, she was like at the attic that late, like, and that attic had not been renovated at all. So I mean, she must have been like kept there. That woman with black hair, right? I don't know. It's so weird. We'll see. It was supposed to be until Lady Charlotte's fancy was brutally murdered. Oh. Oh, okay. By a witch of all things, from what I've heard. You'd think the historians of this place will be a lot more scrutinizing, filtering out stuff like that. He was murdered by a witch? What? I'm amazed they bothered with it, instead of replacing it with some genetic cookie-cutter design. This entire piece alone would have cost roughly 500 or even £1 million. Lady Charlotte Ermengarde and her beloved, looking at the mosaic. It's not too far a stretch with imagination to believe that the depicted images could be Mr. and Mrs. Wright. Thank you for at least being aware of that. That makes me feel a bit better. You're self-aware? Good. It can be easily assumed as such if one doesn't know the history of the mansion. Really, a place like this should be protected by the government as a landmark. But what can I do about it? Walking into the east wing, I try to go into the theater, but is met with an obstacle. The obstacle that is a locked door. That is locked doors. 2 doors. 2, and both of them are locked. I'd be frustrated, would be, if I already hadn't snuck off while the Rice were having their little business meeting with Miss Cooper before to take a peek. What Mr. Wright wanted would have to install a powerful projector, the type they use in cinemas, and a projection screen. The seats would have to be upholstered if they're to be any comfortable, and the walls will have to be covered in dark material, paint, wallpaper, or install wall-to-wall carpeting. Really, of all the rooms I could be jealous of, it's this one. I could just picture myself in there, watching old kung fu flicks on a weekend long marathon. Kung fu flicks? I guess. Oh, I was thinking about, like, chick flicks. Never mind. I've never heard anyone use the word flick in another... for another, like, categories of movies. That's why I was a bit confused. Makes me wonder what kind of movies Mrs. Wright would like. Rom-coms, perhaps? Her husband, on the other hand, I'd rather not think about it. In the middle of my notation and planning, I don't even realize that I'm not alone until I'm caught standing in front of a locked door like a fool.
Were you meaning to go in there? I'm afraid we won't be able to open it up today.
Oh well, I wanted to, but it's fine. I can still survey the rest of the place.
Apologies, but the key was missing when they were handed over. They told us that they'd get right back to us with it.
What? But aren't they supposed to hand over all the keys once property changes hands? That can be grounds to file a complaint.
They were already kind enough to let us move in so early. There's no need to raise a fuss about it. Worst comes to worst, we can call for a locksmith.
The air is heavy and somber when she grows quiet and glances out the window. Out towards the vast expanse that surrounded what would be their house. Their home. Then she looks back at me with a sigh and a bitter smile.
Flowers. Yellow flowers. Daffodils, dandelions, and sunflowers and the sort all up front. Just a whole garden of them. They'll make the house look lovely, won't they?
Of course. A garden is a wonderful addition to any home.
As I say this, her eyes roam over me, scrutinizing and thoughtful. I have to hold back the shiver that threatens to run down my spine at being inspected so closely.
Yes, it must be nice.
We're still talking about the gardens, yes?
I mean not having to worry about what another person thinks of you.
What do you mean by that?
She lifts her hand and points to her wedding ring before it falls listlessly to her side.
Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I didn't marry Luke. There'll be no fights about walk-in closets or silly helipads. I could do with this place as my heart desires until there's nothing but content. Then again, I wouldn't have bought this place if it wasn't a gift for him. I probably wouldn't even be in Luxbourne if it wasn't for him. Maybe I would have moved to London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I might have even left the country altogether. France, Germany, Spain, Canada, Sweden, even America. The possibilities would have been endless.
In case you didn't know, I'm Swedish. That's why. I don't know what to say to that. What is there to say?
I'm sorry, I must sound so petty and ungrateful. I do love him. So very much, even if he can be a bit difficult at times.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just confused why you're telling me this, of all people.
Just a whim, I think. Just flights of fancy, that's all. Don't you ever think about one decision you've made in your life and wonder how much would change if you chose to do things differently?
I try not to dwell on the past, ma'am.
The key word is try, of course. Thinking of the past brings up too many ghosts. Memories of her. And I do wonder what would change if I just said yes when she asked me for me. Maybe she'd still be with me. Or turn to present. Just like I said, I try not to dwell on the past. I don't know. I don't know what I want to... I don't know. I just don't know what I want for them. But I'm like suspecting a little bit that Luke is like going to be like super crazy or something. I don't know. I don't know what's the right decision. But then again, she's pregnant with his child, so that makes it even more complicated now when I know this. I really don't know, okay? But I feel like she could probably have had like oh no. Oh, never. No, her and Zachary isn't that great. Ooh, oh no. Why don't you decide on your own, I guess? I'm just so unsure about all of this, really. Her words seem simple enough. Oh, it went down again. Oh no, it went down. Oops. I mean, it doesn't have to be as difficult as she makes it out to be, right?
Why don't you decide on your own?
I meant nothing against Mr. Wright, of course. The whiskey bugged me to no end. By law, she would be owner of the house. Unless they signed a joint property ownership anyway. Which is a rare thing as far as I know, especially among these hybrid types. Sure, they could actually love their spouse. I don't doubt the possibility. But money's money and it makes people to do the most horrible things sometimes.
It's your house. You can paint the whole place pink if you want, and there's not much he can do.
The somber expression she had changes to a look of contempt. I was a little bit okay, so I got the wrong idea about that decision. I felt like when you decide on your own, I thought that was more about like whether she wants to stay with him or not, because she was talking about like I wonder how it was like if I didn't marry him. So I got the wrong idea about that choice. Oops.
I could, but we are husband and wife. Equal partners in marriage, Marianne, though I can see that you don't understand. This is his home as much as it is mine. I'm not going to go behind his back over a room. And how dare you suggest that?
How do I even talk her down without causing further offense? No, this is not what I want. It's in my attempt to shake off my own drama that I end up tripping right into theirs. Because really, I have no business meddling in affairs of my clients unless it involved interior design or architecture. Yet here I am opening my mouth and yapping. I do hate to see a good woman down.
That's not what I meant by it. I just mean that maybe you don't have to get the approval of your husband all the time. Or well, okay, fine. I know nothing about married life, Mrs. Wright. You're right about that. But I still think you're allowed your indulgences every now and then.
Of course, my form of indulgence meant buying old slate 78 RPM country records, which I don't even dare use with my gramophone. For her, it could very well be buying entire houses.
That's just my take on it. A perfect relationship is as rare as hen's teeth. You got what you got. I mean, you're doing well enough without my advice. Sure, look it.
It looks to placate her somewhat. She looks away and starts to favor the view outside once more with a faraway look in her eyes.
Feel free to look around the rest of the house. Everything but the theatre should be open. Just call if there's need of me.
Of course, Mrs. Wright.
I'm gonna stay with this, decision though, because I effed it up, but I have to stand by that choice. So I really shouldn't have opened my big mouth in the first place. This sort of thing only gets me in trouble. Keep it clean, keep it simple, and stick to business. That's it. Be professional. But I failed to do that just because of a pretty face. When she turns to leave, she glances back at me before disappearing into the foyer. I look out the window from where she was standing, and I move on, alone with nothing but my thoughts and her.
Finally, some peace and quiet. Thought the old biddy would never leave.
It's utter madness, this hearing things. Yeah, you are hallucinating. Those are hearing hallucinations. I reckon it's the stress, though I don't know what exactly I'm stressed about. If meeting Mrs. Wright has really thrown me for a loop, I'd be worried. If I'm developing some sort of psychosis or disorder, well, I'd call a doctor. But hopefully it isn't that. Not right here and not right now. I mean, it could just be that people talking cricket. The conscience, so to speak, and I'm only noticing now, though if it isn't very helpful. Pushing the dilemma voices in my head aside, I go back to work. But I can barely make it a few steps before everything tilts and shifts. I don't really stumble, but it feels like I'm being thrown off my feet, and the rest of the world just follows. And though my feet stay firmly on the ground, and even if I stay mostly upright, I feel like I've been heaved and put off balance. I have to close my eyes in the hopes of willing the sudden sense of vertigo away. But when I open them, oh no, are you serious? Oh, well, I don't feel any less sick because of the sight that greets me. Blood dripped from the walls and the ceiling, pulling downwards and sinking into the curtains and the carpet. A wave of nausea, stronger than the last, hits me along with a overpowering stench of blood and gore. I want to bolt. The rational part of my head is telling me to flee. And I would have gladly done as it asked if only I didn't hear her.
In here, Marianne. Come on. I have something to show you.
I could have ignored it. Would have ignored it if I only heard it in my head. But I swear that this time it's coming from one of the rooms. Much further into the study. And I feel compelled to pay attention. I can't just turn around and leave. Not when it's her. I don't even think as I follow the sound of her voice. Oh no, this is not good. Lorraine. And she went... I didn't see the achievement pop up. Oh well. Lorraine. Lovely Amanda Lorraine. That's our Fiona. Hey, my name is Amanda too. What a coincidence. She was my friend. The only one that I had at St. Samantha's. I was a scholar. Charity case in a school for privileged and prestigious young girls. They'll look down at me if they care to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. I'll accept her.
Oh, stop your crying. You know better than to listen to Maeve. Why, I ought to teach that butterface a lesson.
Wait, no, lass! I don't want you getting into trouble with the sisters again!
Relax. It's not like I'm going to stomp her and her lackey's arses flat like last time.
Come on, let's just go back to our dorm room. I don't want to be on my Tobler while you go get yourself punished.
You'll be fine. Gip's there with you.
Lorianne was there when I needed her, through my highs and lows. Having her as a friend made being in a strange school, away from my father, all the more tolerable. She saw this poor, helpless girl who was kept down and shunned by everyone else. And being the kind soul that she was, she rescued me. So brave, so beautiful. She was something else.
I'll eat all the chocolates stashed away in your closet if you go.
I can get more. Just don't go complaining to me if you get a tummy ache because of that.
Well, you don't want to get detention on a weekend, do you? It's a Friday. We can go to town and have some karaoke. And we can have a go at druids and demons again. You're not going to miss that just because of Maeve, are you?
Sometimes I question what I did to deserve a friend like her. In the darkest corners of my mind, where treacherous thoughts lurked, I thought that she only felt sorry for me. Maybe she was just being a good Samaritan, offering a helping hand. And perhaps I had been too selfish to return the favor.
You have a point. I'll just kick her arse on Monday then. That's not what I mean! I know what you mean, Em. Wait, where are you going? You just told me you wouldn't cause trouble. I still have something to do. Don't worry, it's not like I'm going to burn down her dorm room or something criminal like that. I'm just going to talk to her. Maybe I'll make it so that her room smells like a dog's air biscuit. That'll make it an excellent weekend. I'll see you in a bit, Marianne. Lots of tumblers.
Because when she told me that she loved me, I couldn't admit that I felt the same way. Not to her, and not even to myself. It was wrong. I was taught that way. Husband and wife, one woman and a man. Unclean, impure. I pray for her and I, for our sins and for our salvation. I want to apologize for disregarding her feelings so callously. It must have been like a slap to the face for her. But life had gotten in the way. Exams, which were trivial in hindsight now, took top priority. I had to keep my grades up to keep my scholarship from my father. I told myself I would apologize to her when those were over, that I needed to focus first and not let anything distract me. It'd have been easy when she avoided me like the plague. She was upset. I get that. I thought I had the time to make things right, but...
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead.
No.
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
They told us that it was an accident. That was the official statement. But I knew better. She was dead because of me.
May have had a hoot when I kicked the bucket, didn't she?
Wow. No.
Ding dong, the witch is dead!
She had, though she didn't say which, Lorien.
But at least Maeve had the courage to admit how she felt about me.
I don't even know how long I've been stuck here in a trance. In the mirror, Lorraine smiles at me. She's as beautiful as I remember her. But then... oh, I feel bile rise up in my throat as her clean image warps into how she looked like when they had found her dead, lying on the cold hard ground. Good Saint Dimphna, great wonder worker in every affliction of mind and body, help me. I'm seeing things, hearing things. Am I going completely insane? Looking everywhere but at her. I hope and pray that it's enough to will whatever this is to go away. It doesn't even immediately register in my head that I can't just leave.
You, on the other hand, can't even look me in the eye.
This isn't real. You're not... You're dead!
I'm dead. Because of you. And you won't even look at me. Look at me.
My gosh. My breathing quickens, and I can feel my heart being torn apart by her words.
I'm so sorry, Lorraine.
Look at me!
I can't take it because she's right. It was my fault. The least I can do is look at what I've done. Lorraine, broken and bleeding, looks at me with such hate-filled eyes. No. And a natural smile stretches across her face, and I can only see malice in it. Oh, jeez. Then she lunges at the mirror ripples around her form, the glass parting like the water surface for her. Oh my gosh. She grasps my shoulders, and I can feel her nails dig deep, sharp, even through the fabric of my clothes.
There you are.
Oh. My god!
You're coming with me.
That was so quick! Game over. Okay. Continue. Jeez, that was so fast.
Why won't you love me?
Apologies spilled through my lips as tears cloud my vision. What happened? I don't know. But I won't give in to this madness. With every bit of strange I left, I start to get away from her. Fear grips and threatens to choke me. I endure, I escape. Without turning back, I stumble back out. In my panic, I don't even care to look where I'm going. With one hand on the wall to steady me, I just hobble as fast as I can away from the study. I don't think... Okay, so you probably could have avoided all of that if you just stayed on the ground floor, right? I've just got this really weird feeling now that... Maybe. Or no, maybe. I don't know. Man, that was weird. Anyway, away from that mirror. Freedom is bittersweet. Speaking of mirrors, that was the mirror I was talking about. And then we ended up there again. Jeez. Freedom is bittersweet. I'm free from the madness it seems, as running out into the hallway reveals it to be in pristine condition. But it means I've turned my back on Lorraine. Again. I have no plans of stopping, not until I know I'm safe. And if that means walking back to Lexborn, as ridiculous as the idea is, then so be it. Someone suddenly grabs hold of me, however. Fingers digging deep into my shoulder, and my heart nearly stops. My body seizes and I nearly scream.
Marianne! You look awful! I mean, not awful, but did something happen? Are you alright?
Mrs. Wright,
Without thinking, I saw comfort seeing that it wasn't her. It's a sudden impulse thing to do, and had I been in a better condition, I wouldn't even dare doing such a thing. But I didn't know what else to do. Though I know I shouldn't. Her warmth, her scent, they grounded me. She is intoxicating.
Marianne, what's going on? Oh, you're shaking like a leaf.
Tremors run through my body as soon as my mind realized I'm no longer in danger. I wanted to cry, scream about what I've seen, but like a scared child, I couldn't control myself. My mind couldn't reconcile with what I had seen. I should just write it off as a figment of my imagination, yet I can still feel her nails cutting into my skin.
Are you sick? Should I call for a doctor?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright. Just feeling a little woozy and lightheaded is all.
Let's get you somewhere to sit down then. Come on, don't worry, I have you.
A lie, but a whole lot less complicated than telling her I was attacked by a dead girl. When the feelings of fear eases off, I feel nothing but a shame for my actions. I quickly back away as I clear my throat and nod my thanks.
I think I've had enough looking around. If it's all right with you and Mr. Wright, I'll meet you outside.
If you're sure, I'll have the car started. Do you need assistance heading downstairs?
I'm all right, ma'am. Just go on ahead and I'll be right there.
It seems to placate her worries, though only for a brief second. Before she heads down, I don't miss the concerned glance she shoots me away. My way, hidden quickly under another smile. I won't begrudge her for it, that worry. The look in my face must have been a strange enough sight on its own. Even I am still reeling from wherever that was. Her voice still whispers in my ears. After all these years, she's still... No, Marianne. Shaking my head of the thoughts, I drag in a breath, then follow shortly after Mrs. Wright. Whatever's happened in the past, it's long gone. Only memories now. And those are things I can no longer bring back. It's already dark as we make our way out of the mansion. With no lights, we are only illuminated by the headlamps of the Wright's car and the stars up above us. The sight of them helps me compose myself much more than several minutes of being alone did. The car's engine is running, yet the two still stand out on the lawn. Mrs. Wright is busy, eyes up to the stars. And Mr. Wright, arms crossed, has his eyes down on the ground. It is the crunch of the grass under my heels that brings their attention to me.
About time. What took you so long? A minute longer and I'd think the house swallowed you all up.
Oh, hush, dear. I'm sure she has her reasons. Marianne doesn't seem the sort to idle.
Sorry, I was just checking on something important.
See, business is business and they take time, love. You should know that better than anyone. So, Marianne, what do you think? Are you the woman for the job? I know we already signed papers hiring you, but I want to be 100% sure that you are committed.
I glanced back towards the mansion, knowing what I had seen there, or rather who I thought I saw there, because there is just no way. Not to mention how I acted towards Mrs. Wright, for goodness sake. I should feel the slightest bit hesitant. I was lucky. I've seen enough films to know what happens when a promiscuous woman enters a haunted house. This is my chance to turn it down, make excuses, say that I'm not up to the task, that I need to take care of my old sick father, just pay the fine, which is probably outrageous for a contract like this, and let it go. I should turn it down, but for some obstinate reason, I can't. In the same manner I haven't let go of her, of the regret that has shadowed me since that day. Much as I hate to admit it, even to myself, seeing her again, the mischievous glint in her eyes, the loose tendrils of her hair curled around her forehead, something I've terribly missed. And now that it's here, almost within arm's reach, my father would tell me, sometimes you just simply have to go through with it, consequences be damned. And well, I really don't have any logical reasons to say no. At least, not something a client like the Wrights would want to hear from a professional designer.
It's certainly an interesting project. You can be sure I'm seeing it through the end.
Such dedication! Oh, I do love the determination.
You were always determined like that, weren't you?
Hearing her voice once again sends a chill running down my back. I can't wait for this day to be over. From the mansion and through Anselm, I rode with them in silence. Wow, what a day. Jeez. Poor girl. Marianne examined the first floor upon arrival of the mansion. After small... See, this is because I went to the first floor. I should have stayed with freaking whiskey. I should have stayed with whiskey. Jeez. After small talk with Hannah Wright, Marianne headed for the study. There she saw a ghost from her past reflected in a mirror. Despite that, she gave her word that she would see through the project until the end. But as soon as we hit city proper, I asked to be dropped off and bid them good night. I thought it'd be best if I didn't stay too long in the confined spaces with either a Mrs. or Mr. Wright. Both seemed to cause me serious trouble, and if the project had been any less interesting or grand, I would have dropped it without a second thought. Would have, shouldn't have, won't. I assured them that my place isn't that far off, and I have to fight off the urge to roll my eyes and grow my whiskey throws me a little smirk. Oh, jeez. But even in my own home, peace is elusive, as is sleep. I lie awake, thinking of what I saw in that mansion, of who I saw. If I so much as hear a single whisper from her, if I so much as see a wisp of her hair, I'm afraid I'll go mad. But none of that happens, and it makes me feel hollow. For 2 nights, I've had trouble sleeping, but it's only one morning when fatigue has already let me rest that I'm reminded of what terrifies me so.